All right, do you remember chronologically what came next?
I think it may have been the TNT Championship match.
It may have been the only reason to spend any time on this sorry journey through hysteria that they called a show. It was the best match of the night. It wasn't even close. And then they still screwed it up at the end, but we'll get to that. But here's what okay, let me walk you through this as it happened. Darby Allin came out into the arena with his painted car and broke the windshield with his skateboard. How the heck is he going to get home when he keeps breaking his own windshield? Why is he mad at his own car? I mean, I've done that. Remember, in Atlantic City, I took the baseball bat to my car, but that was after they'd already broken the windshield.
I'm guessing this may have been a rental. He lives in Washington.
Where are you going to rent a car that looks like that?
I don't know. He's not. You think he's driving it across the country?
That's what I'm saying. This doesn't make any sense. If it was his car because it's painted up like him, then it would mean something. Why would he break his own? It doesn't. It does not make sense. If Chewbacca, never mind. Here comes Cody, and Cody is announced. What?
Here comes Cody with a group that's somewhere between 17 and 6,000 people.
Well, I wrote down, there's Brandy, and there's Dustin, and there's Arn, and there's the Guns, and there's about 4 or 5 other people, and there's Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod, and Happy, Dopey, Sleepy, Doc, Grumpy. But then Arn stays because he's the coach, and the rest of them walk back because they just came out for moral support. I was wondering a few things during the introductions. Why does Darby Allin look so miserable and dejected all the time? And I figured, does he have to watch these shows too? I thought it was just us.
Maybe he's thinking, what did I just do to my car?
Well, there you go. You know, because goddamn, I don't have the fucking no-fault engine. Darby Allin is now announced at 173 pounds. A few months ago, was it not 155? And we commented on that.
Well, he's made some money. Usually when people start making money, they enjoy some better meals.
He ain't a goddamn ounce bigger. But 173 sounds better than 155 when he's fighting Cody. And it was nice to hear Cody get his name back. Cody Rhodes. As far as this match, I sat back and thoroughly enjoyed it. Cody was doing the old-fashioned subtle heel thing. Hey, kid, young kid, inexperienced. I'm going to play with you a little bit. Don't get too fucking froggy and start hopping. He didn't come out and cheat, but he was the old NWA title style subtle heel. When even the babyface champion, when he'd go in against a local kid, he would have to rough it up a little bit to get the sympathy behind the underdog. And Darby Allin is a great little underdog. You can tell that Cody put this together. It made perfect sense. Nothing looked stupid or ballet-like with the footwork, happy feet taking you out of the moment. I thought Cody tossing Darby Allin over the top rope to the ramp flat back on his arm was a little goofy, but that's Darby Allin. But then Cody worked the arm the rest of the fucking match. He got the obnoxious heat. Darby Allin had to fight for his comeback in the middle there. He blew a nice false comeback in the middle, and that worked. Because Darby Allin can sell, and he was there for everything physically. Kids got mentally, for whatever reason, even though he's apparently a lunatic in every other way, kid can work. I like they did the spot where they exposed the turnbuckle, but they did a false finish with it to Cody's chest, not his fucking head. That gave me the thought, well, maybe they'll use that later on. But nevertheless, I thought, again, the crossroads off the top rope into a rope break, I thought was a little much. The goddamn, I love that Cody's trying to get the kid over, and he's doing a wonderful job of it. But Jesus Christ, some moves should be at least a finish, if not a hospitalization. Such as when Darby was on Cody's back and Cody climbed up the top rope and fell back off the top rope. But Darby rolled to the floor, so there was no count. Thank God there wasn't a 2 count there. I like it when Cody got frustrated that Darby wouldn't die and gave him multiple body slams, but was taking his time in the middle. He'd pick him up and he'd slam him like a sack of shit. So it wasn't like he was constantly beating him up because Darby has to fucking come back here in a minute. Would they milk the belt thing? I don't know. But then Darby foils him and trips him up and does a couple of moves and hits the coffin drop. And I'm like, yes. And it was a 2 count. And I'm saying, well, where the fuck are they going now? Because I thought as much as I figured this was going to be a Hail Mary win for Darby after he got manhandled and mistreated to this extent during the match, right? But after the coffin drop, now they've jumped the fucking shark, to borrow a Fonzie. Darby then suddenly he escapes the crossroads. They do the series of reversals of the roll-up. And then Darby suddenly wins. He was going to win anyway. Why not the coffin drop? That's his finish. If you're going to put the guy over, and Cody, I'm just saying, I think you were genuine in your want to put the guy over. But if you go back and watch that match, and when you get to that point where bing, 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 and he hit that coffin drop, if he's winning the match anyway, that was the finish. That's his finish. It'd get it over. Cody's going to do a job anyway, and the rolling around with the fucking reversals, was that a hat on a hat, Brian Last?
I thought it was okay. I didn't have a problem with the finish.
Well, what else did you have a problem with?
I can't really complain about anything with this match. I thought it was a really good match. I thought it was the right finish. I thought Darby had to go over. I guess the only thing I can't complain about, and this is an AEW-wide problem, it is one that has inflicted Cody matches before, either be a heel or be a face. You can't be a face before the match and a face after the match and then a complete heel during the match. I was thinking after Darby won, there was a moment there where I'm thinking, okay, Cody's now going to do a full heel turn, and it'll be great. He's been acting like a heel this whole match, and I've been buying it. I've been buying Cody the heel. And then, of course, he becomes Gracious Cody and just presents him with the belt.
Gracious Cody.
Leading into the angle after the match. But I guess that's my only thing is just, and Cody's been the guy more than anyone else who constantly defends the idea that there's no baby faces and no heels. We don't need the tired wrestling tropes of the past.
But, you know,
you need a lot of tired old wrestling tropes in AEW.
You know what? Well, yes, many more. But you know what? Here's I see what he's doing, and maybe I see where he's at, and he just doesn't recognize he's the only one that can get away with that because he's the only one that knows how to do it. Everybody else is trying to do it too, and it just comes off like shit. With Cody, and I agree, he goes back to the smiling promos, you know, and everybody's happy, but he wasn't. He was a good old-style heel in this match that still didn't do anything morally that a babyface would not do. He was rough. He was a little obnoxious. He toyed with the kid, and then he got mad when he got pressed. But he didn't kick the guy in the balls behind the referee's back. He didn't steal anything. The problem is Cody is good at doing that type of match. And like I said, maybe think Dory Funk Jr. when he was always a babyface when he was NWA champion, but when he would come in and work with a babyface, he'd get rough and he'd take advantage because he was better and he was more experienced. That kind of, when the Briscoes turned heel and in the Carolinas, they actually had heel matches on television by just out wrestling the guys legally in such a obnoxious, prickish way. There's different ways to get heat. Cody can do it. I see what he's trying to do, and he does it well, but because he's on a show with a bunch of people who are doing the same thing and can't, it fucking makes it, imagine this, mean less.
Well, you know, the other thing is, based on the way he was working, based on his facial expressions, based on everything I see, even with MJF there and anyone else there, I think Cody has the potential to be the best heel in the company.
Well, in the ring, I mean, MJF is just the prodigy speaking, and we'll get to that.
Hey, listen, you've seen Cody's promos. If Cody went full heel, I bet you there'd be better promos. I bet you he'd be fantastic just letting the fans have it. And
I can see that.
I think he has the potential to be the best heel in the entire company.
But where I was going, but he instantly would be in the ring because he knows what to do either way. He's the best worker. Mentally, I'm not talking about physical. Well, sometimes physical, but I'm talking about mentally. He's the best worker. He knows what to fucking do. But here the problem is, apparently even though he's an EVP, he's still saddled with the same booker, because I assume that Cody put this match together, and I assume that the amateur booker put the angle afterwards together. So Taz, he and Starks and Cage were mad because they weren't on the show. They said they'd be there somewhere or another, right? And they've had an issue with Cody. I understand all this. But Taz comes out, starts cutting a promo on their bitch asses, distracts them so Starks and Cage attack from behind. Boom, and they beat up Cody and Darby. And they take the TV title belt, and Cage carries Darby into the arena, quite a ways away from the ring, and throws him through one of the lighting fixtures. Everything has to be a movie stunt. There's no reason that this... Anyway, then they try to slam Darby's arm in the door of his own car. But guess who makes the... Because Cody tries to get there, but he's beaten down. Guess who makes the save? Will Hobbs. Wonderful Willie Hobbs, baby. What the fuck? They jumped these guys. They beat shit out of them in the ring. One guy carried the other one out back, out in the arena. Cody had time to get there and try to save him again. They threw him through the light fixture. Then they got him positioned in the door. Finally, Will Hobbs comes out. Brian, where were Cody's 47 seconds trainers and assistants that walked to the ring with him 15 minutes before this?
That was my exact thought. If it
was such an important match to them that they had to come out and get introduced and be seen on television, wouldn't they be watching the monitor at the closest available position? But yet none of them came out. No referees tried to stop this. Nothing was tried to, except the guys that were getting beat up tried to fire back a little bit until here came Will Hobbs, because we got to get Will Hobbs over now. Because that's booking 101. He's got to save the baby faces.
Well, even better than that, the Gun Club, Billy Club. I don't even know if he's allowed to be Billy Gunn. Maybe he is Billy Club now.
No, he's Billy Club and Austin Gunn. That's going to be what we call him
so
now on. I love you, Billy.
Billy Club and Austin Gunn, they were out there as part of the Nightmare family. When they weren't out there with the Nightmare family, I guess they went right back to their ringside seats for the rest of the night. They've been sitting ringside the whole show before and after this match. They couldn't run out there and help. Dustin and QT couldn't run out there and help. The other guy, I don't even know who he was. He couldn't run out there and help. I mean, it's just so ridiculous.
Didn't get a pony. Any other guy didn't get a pony. So that was my favorite match on the show. An excellent piece of business that did pretty much what they wanted it to do. And then these two guys getting this other fucking fiasco, and everybody's going, what the fuck? So even when they get something, they can't leave it alone. Their finishes last too long. Their matches go too long. They have too many steps in their angles where it just gets beaten into powder and then becomes bleh.